Hey bike, it's me Ian. And in today's video, well, I'm continuing my look at classic Doctor Who from the 60s. So this is The Keys of Marinus from 1964. Now previously, the story would have been Marco Polo, but of course that was missing from the archive. So in fact, the one that I reviewed was The Edge of Destruction. So the next one will be The Aztecs, which is in the archive and we can review. Okay, so this is season 1 and it consists of 6 episodes. And they are The Sea of Death, The Velvet Web, The Screaming Jungle, great title, The Snows of Terror, I love that, and Sentence of Death, and finally The Keys of Marinus. So that's how they did it. They each had a title for each episode. And this was transmitted between the 11th of April 1964 to the 16th of May 1964. And it's written by Terry Nation. Yes, he's quite prolific in these early years for Doctor Who in his contribution. The script editor is, of course, David Whittaker. It's directed by John Gorrie. This is the only Doctor Who episode he directed. He directed a lot of other TV series and episodes. And he also directed 2 prestigious Shakespeare plays for the BBC Shakespeare television project, where they were going through all the Shakespeare plays, which is a fantastic, absolutely wonderful thing to have in the archive. All those Shakespeare plays, all done by the BBC, absolutely amazing. So that is the director, and of course, as usual, it's produced by Verity Lambert. Fantastic, what a pioneer. She's great, absolutely wonderful. And the music is by Norman Kay. So the cast, we've got William Hartnell playing the Doctor. Then we've got William Russell playing Ian Chesterton. We've got Jacqueline Hill playing Barbara Wright. And we've got Carol Ann Ford playing Susan Foreman. Then let's get into some of the cast. We have got George Kalarius playing Arbitan. Now, wow, this is absolutely amazing. The amount of films he was in. And I've only covered a few. These are some of the highlights, and there's quite a lot. You can imagine it is absolutely chock-a-block. It really is. And some of these films are just brilliant. Anyhow, let's go through. The first one that I've picked here, Citizen Kane from 1941. For Whom the Bell Tolls, 1943. Between Two Worlds, 1944. None But the Lonely Heart, 1945. Lady on a Train, 1948. Joan of Arc, 1948. Doctor at Large, 1957. I Accuse, 1958. I love this title. The Son of Robin The The Assassination Bureau. I've jumped on a bit there, but yeah, 1969, The Assassination Bureau, brilliant film. Sorry, and I should have mentioned this one, The Skull, 1965. Absolutely love that. Peter Cushing, excellent in that one. And then we've got Blood from the Mummy's Tomb. Hammer, yes, 1971. A Clockwork Orange, wow, he's in Clockwork Orange. Papillon, 1973. Marla, 1974. Percy's Progress, 1974. One of those sex comedies that we come across from the 70s. Murder on the Orient Express, 1974. What a film that is. Shout at the Devil, 1976. And finally, this is a British classic film, The Long Good Friday, 1980. Saying what? That's just some of the films. What contribution. And here he is in Doctor Who. Oh yeah, fantastic. Then we've got Catherine Schofield, who plays Sabbatha. She was in Nicholas and Alexandra, great film, 1971. The Greek Tycoon, 1978. And one of my all-time favourite films, Life Force, 1985. Then a lot of TV series and TV films. Then we've got Robin Phillips, who plays Atos. They were in Two Gentlemen Sharing, 1969. And then Un Estate con Sentimento, 1970. You know it's Italian. Me trying to be Italian. Yes, in an Italian film from 1970. And then TV series and TV films. Then we have got Donald Pickering playing Ison. Now, Doctor at Large, 1957, a film that pops up virtually every week, doesn't it? Girls at Sea, 1958. The Legend of Young Dick Turpin, 1965. Battle of the Bulge, wow, 1968. It's just a classic film. Sorry, 1965, Battle of the Bulge. I think that's 65, yeah. I know, I should know it. It comes up every week. And, of course, the other one directed by the wonderful Sir Richard Attenborough, A Bridge Too Far, 1977. Brilliant. And the really good version of The 39 Steps from 1978. And also, we have to put it in, it's almost obligatory as well, Zulu Dawn from 1979. So they're just some of the highlights. What can I say? So that is the cast members, the main ones that I've picked out. So we should get into what this story is about. Now, the TARDIS, as usual, lands on a planet, and the Doctor and his companions are basically put in this sort of mini adventure where they have to search for 4 keys. Yes, 4 keys just to restore the consciousness of Marinus, a computer which maintains law and order on this planet. And so the search involves travelling to 2 cities, a jungle, and an icy wasteland in search of these keys. So that is quite a big task in this story to put on screen. And I think this does get criticised a bit for that reason. It did receive very mixed reviews. And I think it's because a lot of people felt the lack of money didn't match, what this story should have been. The ambition of the story is big, but what we see on screen is not. I think that is the criticism. To be honest, I think it is a bit unfair. Yeah, there are things in it you see. It's like I was watching one scene and I could see the microphone pop up. And said, yes, it's a shadow of the microphone. There are all sorts of things like that in here, but that is don't forget, I think a lot of people forget this. They're under a lot of pressure. They've got to get these episodes out. They have a very tight schedule each day, and they're recording these episodes. Everything has to be done pretty quickly. Mistakes are going to be made, and there's pressures on the production, the presentation of the sets, So you've got that, as well as the actors have got the pressure of learning all their lines, getting all that done. There's a lot involved here. And this is how it was. It was a production line which had to keep going. It had to keep... The directors were told they've got to just get it on film, get it out. That's how it is. I appreciate that. I think we should take that into consideration. I really think, considering what they have, the ambition of the story, then I think it's okay. I think people are being rather cruel, I think. It's Doctor Who. You've got to accept these things. Sometimes we look with modern eyes and see it differently, but no, I think for the 1960s, they're doing a great job trying to bring sci-fi onto the TV, and as well as the historical stories. They are doing a great job, and I'll defend them so much. I think people are a bit silly, really, when they start criticizing some of these things. They don't understand what is behind all this. And I think this is a great job. I think the story is a good idea. Okay, it may not be the greatest Doctor Who story, but it's not the worst. And I enjoyed it. Again, I can hear people say it's plodding. It goes on. The fact that the Doctor had to take his holidays. These actors were working, they were entitled to holidays. So therefore, often in Doctor Who in those days, they had to incorporate it into the story when the Doctor's not there and we see his absence. But that's how it is. That's production in the 1960s. It's a different era. Please take that into account when you're watching these stories. This is brilliant historical gold. It is to me. Looking back at TV in the 1960s, an era when I was a child growing up, this is wonderful stuff. Why are people so negative? Don't be so negative. This is great stuff. This is great history. Television in front of your eyes when you're watching this. And it's glorious. It's wonderful. Isn't it wonderful to see sci-fi? All the ingenuity that they are using to produce these stories on TV. And then they say, when we get the historical adventures, what they're doing? They're doing a brilliant job. So please, take this into consideration. And, the actors do a great job. Okay, some weeks, sometimes the acting is not always good. It can be hammy, a bit over the top, but that's who they're hiring at that particular time. But it doesn't matter. I think it works. It works so well. You've got to put all those prejudices aside and just enjoy it for what it is. And it is brilliant what they're doing. I really admire that cast because they're under a lot of pressure. They're under a lot of pressure. They've got those lines they've got to learn and they've got to get them out. And then there's the next story. It's a continuous production line. And, they're producing these wonderful stories to entertain us. And I think, now looking at it, I'm in awe of them, really. The amount of stamina. Acting is not an easy profession. It isn't. It's not an easy profession when you've got this kind of schedule. You've got to go do those lines. Often they didn't get even rehearsals sometimes. The rehearsals they got could be very limited in the times they got. Sometimes they had very limited rehearsals. They've got people coming in and out, the guest stars. It's just a production line, and it had to be like that because the demand for these programs. I mean, they had a lot to get through, and they only have limited budgets and studio time. People forget that. You're in the studio, you've got to get up all your sets and everything. You've got to get where you're going to put the cameras. There's loads of planning and everything involved. All has to be done, and then it has to move on to the next one, and the next one after that. And then there's other TV shows coming in. These studios are booked, so there's more programs being recorded. It is a conveyor belt, and that's how it worked. That's how TV production was. So I know I'm preaching, but I'm going on. But get away from that. This is so enjoyable. It's highly recommended as usual, and I'm loving watching 60s Doctor Who. What more can I say? And so before I go, I'll show you my DVD copy, my wonderful DVD copy. There it is. There's the back. There is one reasonable documentary. We're waiting, I think, in the future when we get the releases. Though some of these DVDs have better documentaries than others, but we will eventually get documentaries, though it is going to be a long time because Hartnell is not going to come out for a long time in the special collection series of Doctor Who collection. But anyhow, look at that. Isn't that beautiful? Yeah, nicely illustrated. Again, this little leaflet that you get. Fantastic. I love it. Absolutely love it. That's it. Yes, I hope you've enjoyed it. So, if you like this video, please give the video a like. If you give the video a like, it gets it out to YouTube, so hopefully other people might enjoy this video. And if you've got any comments, please put your comments down. I love to read your comments. I'll always reply to them. And if you want to see previous reviews that you're new to the channel, maybe come across, well, have a look in the playlist and you can see all the previous reviews I've done of Doctor Who. Also, you'll see all the other things I do on my channel, all the other TV shows, films, all with a retro sort of kind of feel. And if you like what you see, why not subscribe? And then when you subscribe, we'll let you know when I put out these videos or whatever they are. Yeah, you might find something you like. Anyhow, that's it. I've been going on far too long. So all I've got to say is, I'll see thee again.